Hi, this is Ernest Schmidt with Palo Alto Therapy, and today I want to talk about motivation and working on our fears and anxieties. So a big part of anxiety therapy is trying to get momentum so we have the courage to face things that we're afraid of. And here at Palo Alto Therapy, we never make anybody do things they don't want to do. We don't set goals for our clients. Our clients come with us with problems they're having, and then together we develop goals that are what the client wants. And so a big part of this is trying to get over their fear and anxiety or live a more free life. But what's a really common trend, with me included, when it comes to facing my fears is I don't want to do it. So it requires a lot of sort of motivation to move forward on that and to do what's necessary to feel better. So that means things like, feeling uncomfortable, that sort of thing. So today I'm gonna go over a quote that can be helpful when it comes to our motivation once you've decided you do want to face your fear and get over your anxiety. And then I want to talk about a couple tips that go along with this concept. So the quote today is from Eleanor Roosevelt, and it goes like this: "You gain strength, courage, and confidence by every experience in which you really stop to look fear in the face. You are able to say to yourself, 'I lived through this horror. I can take the next thing that comes along.'" So I like that. There's lots of different quotes, and that's one of the reasons I'm doing these videos. I just think it's fun to use quotes to propel ourselves to do things that are good for us. But again, there's no judgment if you don't want to go this direction. But for those of you that want to feel better, this is a really common trend, is that we resist, doing things that we're uncomfortable to do, which totally makes sense. It's a common human tendency. But these kind of quotes, help propel you into doing that and give you more strength that, yes, I can do this. So a big part of fear and anxiety is that we feel like we're not courageous. We feel weak. We feel maybe ashamed. But I think it's really important to remind ourselves that just because we have fear and anxiety doesn't mean that we don't have courage. Like, it doesn't necessarily cancel that out. It means that we need to work on it and we need to practice it. But I see this kind of stuff as a skill. And that's a big part of cognitive behavioral therapy. It's skill-based. It's teaching people how to get better at this stuff. And so one of the most important things when it comes to the emotion of anxiety is actually practicing feeling it, which most of my clients think I'm crazy. They come in, they want to feel better from anxiety. And then I say, oh, actually, we're going to practice feeling it more. But it is a really common thing. We call it exposure therapy at the height of it. But a lot of it's sort of like tolerance. A technical word we use is called habituation, which, now the research is getting a little bit different than pure habituation. But this idea that you practice feeling it. So it's not as distressing when you sort of open yourself up to feeling nervous, to feeling anxious, not trying to run away from it, and do things where you're approaching it. And that actually does give you skill. It's like practicing playing tennis. You get better at it. Or athletes that know how to manage their fear. They don't not have fear or anxiety before games. They just have learned to manage it, which does probably bring their fear down at some point. Plus, what you heard in this quote from Eleanor Roosevelt is the more we do things to face our fear, the more we learn actually that we are capable and that we can get through these things. So that does create this learning concept, which also brings down our fear. And so it's not only just an imagine of getting comfortable with our feelings of anxiety, but it also is reducing it through learning. The final step is just that it's okay to do small steps. So we don't just go straight from facing our biggest fear, but we really work on small steps to practice that. So with tennis, you go out and do practice games. You don't go out and play Wimbledon the first time you're playing it. You want to go low level. So we do that easily in anxiety therapy. These small steps to kind of tolerate that smaller level of anxiety, learn those skills, and then we ramp it up. I think it's related to this idea that, I say this to clients often, like, what a shame it would be if our perspective about our fear was wrong, that, the things that we're afraid of actually never came true. Wouldn't that be awful to know that? Like, if we could just go ahead of time and say, geez, I didn't do all these things and all the fears I had were totally false. Like, not that I can say for sure that's true, but often that is the case. And that can also be motivation. Like, let's test these things out. And so that's another common tactic we take personally too, when we're working on our own fears and anxiety, is testing it to sort of see, do these things come true? Obviously, it's all within, your own judgment of how much you want to take these risks. But this is a big part of anxiety therapy and getting over the things that are uncomfortable or facing our fears. Let me read the quote one last time and then I'll wrap up. So you gain strength, courage, and confidence by every experience in which you really stop to look fear in the face. you're able to say to yourself, I lived through this horror. I can take the next thing that comes along. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back in touch with more quotes in the future.